Well, hello there. How you going today? Thanks for joining me. My name's Campbell. This is Autodidactic 2, and autodidactic, of course, means to be self-educated, which is what we do here. We have a look at the strange realm we find ourselves in and come to our own conclusions. So don't believe anything I say. Don't believe anything you hear on the videos. Just everything should be interesting, right? And as you gather more information on the subject, then you will get more clarity and you will be able to come to your own point of view. Because one of the most dangerous things in this world is to blindly follow someone. And that doesn't mean physically, it means mentally as well. Just to blindly follow ideas is what's really got us in this mess. So let's jump in and check out the strange realm around us.
This woman claims that this is proof that there are non-humans walking amongst us. Now, I don't say that lightly, like there could be another explanation, but this is pretty freaking weird. Now, you remember in the movie They Live when they put on the sunglasses and they could see the reptilian-y people who are amongst the normal humans? And you know how that movie might have been made about Dicenian goggles, the goggles you put on that can see people's auras, but some people don't have auras because they might not be people? Well, this woman goes to Buckingham Palace, okay? She's in Europe. She's in England. She's using a thermal camera and looking at all kinds of normal people exhibiting a heat signature. Until she goes in front of Buckingham Palace. She turns around and films the front guards on this side of the gate, and they have a heat signature. But the two guards at the inner gate that goes into Buckingham Palace, in a second I zoom it in and you'll see, they don't have a heat signature, dude. And keep watching because this is extremely bizarre. You'd think someone said, well, their clothes are thick, so you wouldn't be able to see because of their clothes. But look at these two guys on either side of the door. No heat signature on their faces. You'd think for sure if it's picking up the heat signature of this light, should pick up their face. So now last I checked, reptiles are cold-blooded and have less of a heat signature. I'm just saying, should we get thermal cameras and check things out? Now, according to Google's AI, there is no scientific evidence confirming aliens live among us. As if you'd be waiting around for the science to be settled on that. Dude, by the way, aliens, schmalians, just know if there is any non-human entities out there, they're not from space or through any firmament, okay? They're from other lands. They would be from other lands outside of the ice wall, which I can't wait to explore once human freedom is restored. That being said, could there be other creatures from other realms around us? Honestly, from all the rabbit holes I've been down and how many deceptions we've been deceived by and all the stuff that we've been fooled about, I would definitely imagine that is not too crazy of a thought for me to entertain, man. Now, do we know there's multidimensional entities around us? Yes. Do they harvest low vibrational frequency emotions? Yes. Is that why you should be extremely positive all the time? That's one of the reasons. Yes. Flip the brainwave state into everything that happens to you is good and everything that is happening is for the better, and it will completely change your reality, and you literally do not need to take my word for that. Try it for 4 days and watch what blessings appear into your life. Oh, and before you ask for anything more, first make sure you are mentioning how grateful you are for what you already have. Okay? Much love, everyone. Follow for more and comment your thoughts below.
Well, there you go. No heat signatures. And I did try and find the original of that video, but I couldn't. Looks like it's been buried by the algorithm. But yeah, basically this lady goes out with a thermal camera that attaches to the phone. And yeah, these two guards had no heat signature. What does that mean? You know, he said, is it reptiles? Well, I mean, I think reptiles still would give off heat, especially if the light bulbs are. Does it mean they're robots? Would robots give off heat? Possibly a bit. Are they just soulless entities in a body? It's weird that they have no heat signature, right? Not just a faint one or anything, but none. Crazy. What does that mean? What do you think? Have you got a thermal camera? Because when I was looking for the original of that, I found that there's a lot of videos out there of people using thermal cameras, like ghost hunters and things use them. Pretty interesting stuff. I've never thought of doing it myself, but I'd have to grab one, right? Go hunting. And yeah, just like They Live, right? It could be the tool, right, that helps us see those that are not us. And I do agree with him. There's no space aliens. I don't believe in that. Alien just means someone who's not from here. and extraterrestrial means someone from extra land. I think the biggest, my best guess would be that, any aliens, physical aliens are from outer lands, right? Maybe from under the ocean as well. Okay, a lot of talk of USOs and all this stuff. I know someone who's seen USOs and domes under the ocean, and that could be a previous civilization that sunk or went underneath to escape cataclysms. I don't know. But there could be interdimensionals as well. He said that there was definite proof. I haven't heard of any definite proof of interdimensionals. There's definitely, lots and lots of circumstantial, lots of sightings of ghosts and weird stuff. And, then you get into quantum physics and, the whole quantum computer and CERN, all that kind of weirdness, right? So it could be either or. I'm sure that there probably is some, what they call spiritual, entities. But I mean, what does spiritual mean in that context? Bodiless, just, at the frequency, right? That somehow got in that's from a different dimension. Dimension's an interesting word when you think of the condition dementia. What does that mean? When you get dementia, do you go into a different dimension? Don't know, random thought. But yeah, let me know, guys. Have you ever tried one of these thermal cameras? Are you going to try one now? Because pretty interesting, right? And how much would things change, do you think, if we all walked around with these thermal cameras and we could literally see the ones that are not us? Could create quite a big shift in the world.
We are supposed to believe this fake reality is real. It's like putting a headset on in a virtual reality game and believing it's real. Now, that's what people do. You go on the internet and see some of these compilations of people with headsets on. They're in a room, normal. They put a headset on. Suddenly, they're screaming, they're jumping around, they're falling over. Why? Because their sense of reality has been taken over by the game. I've just described the human plight. Our sense of reality has been taken over by this simulated reality we think is real when it's not.
What are your thoughts on this? Do you believe in simulation? Do you think we're living in a simulation, a video game type thing? Because simulation means a copy of, right? So if this is a simulated world, it means that there's a real world out there. And a lot of people talk about it and they call it prime Earth. And we're in a simulation of that for some reason. I myself do not believe that. You don't have to believe what I say, though. You're welcome to your own opinions, right? This is all about getting information and coming to better conclusions. But he said simulation, and then he kind of went into this world is not what we think it is. Well, that's not necessarily a simulation now, is it? It's not necessarily a copy of something, because if it was a copy, then it would be the same as the original. So it kind of would be what we think it is, wouldn't it? But so I don't believe like the computer game and all that kind of thing. My version of the simulation of that simulation is that's what they're trying to impose on us right now with VR goggles, with the 2D world, with AI and all the bots and the social media and the brain implants and blah, 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 right? That to me is a simulation. It's not here, but they're trying to put us in one. And is this world what we think it is? Of course it's not. No, everything's energy, right? So the whole physical material world, the world that matters, the world of matter, is what we believe it is. It's what we think it is. We create it in our mind and then project it out. What we believe, we conceive, and then we receive, right? We create it. And the biggest trick that the evil, or you might call it evil with a D, same word, right? Devil. The biggest trick that it has pulled is to get us to believe their version of reality. And that's why so much time and effort goes into things like the schooling system, the news, the entertainment, the music industry, everything to try and tell us what reality is, how we should decode reality. And what happens then is we are the creators. We have the creative spark in us, right? We are the creation and the creator. And so when we believe their version of the story, their version of the narrative, then we create it. And I think it's that simple. So don't believe the hype, right? Don't listen to these people or any of the BS. You know, this is why we need discernment. We can't just judge things as right or wrong, good or bad, because there's a good chance that you're being manipulated. Right? It's much better, in my opinion, to just say that's interesting, right? That's interesting. And then you've got another piece of information. You've got another reference point in your mind for that topic. And the more reference points you have, the closer you'll get to your own perspective. And also keep in mind your perspective does not necessarily meld with anyone else's perspective. And it doesn't have to. And this is, why I have issues with people, having debates, and they're not really debates, right? They're these internet arguments where you get two people and they just argue at each other. And what they're trying to do is convince the other person that they're correct. Uh, That's it's such a waste of time, in my opinion, right? Apart from the fact that it's not good energy because people end up fighting and getting angry and all this kind of stuff, it's not your right to tell anyone what to think, right? And the proof of that is because you don't want anyone to tell you what to think. Okay. And ultimately, we all have a choice of reality. Who said it's all the same? We're all in our own little world, which we create. So I don't believe in the simulation theory, as far as we're living in a copy of something, some kind of computer game or whatever, or, like the Matrix, we're plugged into some machine somewhere. I don't believe that. I believe that's what they're trying to bring in. And one of the main reasons I don't believe it is because of the natural world. The natural world is what feeds us. The natural world is what gives us energy. That's where we ground ourselves. That's where we get inspiration. Like it's got everything we need, right? It's the provider, right? We can get everything we need from there. We can get food, we can get shelter, we can get clothing, we can get adventure, whatever you want, right? So the simulated world, in my opinion, is the 2D world. But please let me know your thoughts. Do you believe in the simulation theory, or do you think that it's probably not true? Nature's real, and the simulation is what they're trying to bring in now.
Well, look what we have here. An 1889 map showing routes by steam and electric. So you're telling me that they crossed the Atlantic with electric. Check it out. They even showed the dates on it too. Look at this. How cool. This is the entire world showing all the different... Here, check it out right there. Vapor and electric from 1889 all across the world. The majority of the United States did everything steam, but when you go down to some of these other areas, they had a lot of electric. What the heck was going on there? It is so cool. Look at the mixture here of electric and steam all the way around there. US is just decked out with a whole bunch of steam. But when you cross at the top, they're crossing with electric. It says cable transatlantic, which is interesting too. But then you can see everything here when they're doing everything by steam. And then let's go over to Europe and check everything out there. You have both electric and steam all throughout the Mediterranean. And of course, all throughout Europe too. You got steam and you have some electric, especially up towards Norway. And check it out. This is so cool. What a neat map. Oh, by the way, check this out. 1889, and we still have Tartaria here. Thought that was kind of interesting too. And they have it over here as well. Let's see if we can find it over here. Where was it at? It was interesting. They had the sea. There it is right there. So I got Tartaria there as well. And again, look, a whole bunch of electric traveling here. And then a little bit of steam traveling as well. But it seems to be a little bit of both over in this areas. Just very interesting on all the areas back then you could travel. It would have been so cool. Just a really neat map. And then they do some areas here where they really deck it out so you can see how much travel they really had. And then they have all of the charts that show you everything about it, the services and where they can go. And then they even break it down to like the different countries, all the different flags of the different countries. And look at the American flag right there, and that was pretty wild. And then they even break down the key of what everything is. Like the blue is for electric, the red is for steam or vapors, they called it. And then they got the capitals that are decked out, and smaller cities, and the flags that mean whatever it is for the areas. I mean, this map is so detailed. And then here's another side showing the services. And then they look to show Americas here. Look how much steam travel they have there. No electric there. That's interesting. All steam in Americas. But you have a lot of electric travel here through Mexico. Really interesting. Anyways, I just wanted to share this with you. I thought it was such a cool map. I've never seen one like this. And wanted to show you all this. If you want a link to this map, hit me up in the comments. I'll shoot you a link over. Also, as always, thanks so much for watching and being a part of this. Thanks for following, and always stay curious. Stay curious. Check this out. It's crazy. Until next time.
Well, the 1800s, what was it, 1880s, I think he said. That's definitely the most recent map I've seen with Tartaria written on it. That's a good find for that reason, for sure. But electric travel everywhere, I mean, that was all over the land, right? So how do we interpret that? I would think it means electric trains, right? And then they had steam trains as well. Obviously vapor because it's French, but yeah, they definitely had some electric ones. Interesting, right? Does that mean that they had electric and they were shutting it down, getting rid of it, putting it into steam, until they could figure out how to charge us, right? And control it, the electric bit. With the cables, the transatlantic cables that he showed, the first transatlantic cable was laid in 1854. True, 1854. The first electric cable run through a town was the 1870s, I think 76. Don't quote me on that. But like more than 20 years later. So they ran it across from New York to England, I think it was, maybe Wales or Scotland, but the UK, 1854, right? Before really they had any use for it. They had Morse code by that time, I think. But yeah, they ran it across the ocean before they ran it through a town. Uh, Questions, right? And I know all these details. I know this because we've done on Tartaria Australia, the podcast, link below in the description. Go check it out. We've done a 7-part series we're up to so far on the ocean, and it started off with the question, where did the internet come from? And that was basically, as far as modern connection and connectivity and cables and running signals and all that, it was the transatlantic cables. But it doesn't make any sense at all in the context of history, because like I said, they did it before they'd even tested it in a town. And then you see the pictures of it, like go and Google it, like the pictures are crazy. They'll show you like this old steamboat with a big roller at the back, and it's a hand roller, right? They're hand winding this cable out across the ocean. They hadn't mapped the ocean, so they didn't know how deep it was. So how did they know how long the cable had to be? And they didn't have plastic. So they literally tell you that the cables were covered in the sap from the rubber tree, right? Rubber, basically, not wrapped, just smeared on. It's a crazy story, man. So, what all is this? When we hear stories like that and see maps like that, to me, it just screams that there was an old world, an advanced, recent civilization that had much more tech than we did, got wiped out by a cataclysm, and what we're seeing is the parasites who came in, the Lites, and basically they just happen to be the ones who came in and, I guess, first with the most information and probably right, the most weapons and were the most, despicable, violent ones around. And so they got control and they started using this old world technology and basically kept it all for themselves, shut down everything that was good for us until they could work out how to use it to control us. Read the electric chair, i.e., the electric car. Electric cars. They were around in the 18 or 80s at least, right? That we can prove. And they went further than a Tesla will go today on lead acid batteries, by the way. Right? Pretty much free transport. They had charging stations and everything. But of course, that all got destroyed because J.D. Rockefeller, right? Standard Oil. He wanted everyone to be using petrol so he could make money. He also ripped out all the electric tram systems. Trams are another one. It looks like they were fully installed at the start of our timeline, right, in the 1850s, and they were electric. And then they went to horse. I mean, a horse-drawn tram. That's a really stupid thing to put out. I mean, why would you have a tram? Why wouldn't you just have a coach, right, a wagon? Because all a tram does is make it heavier because you need metal wheels and things, and it means you can't. You're restricted to where you can go. Makes no sense at all. But anyway, what do you think about that? Do you think all this technology was found and reused? Found by those people who also found the buildings, the masonry buildings, right? Got their free masonry, those people, and then they've used it all against us because that's definitely what I think. And what they do is they put it all in their inventory, right? And when they've worked out how to use it to control us, then they get an inventor who goes to the inventory and brings it out, right? Newly improved. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that whole theory.
Check out this 1519 map showing Babylonia and has a drawing of the tower. And look at the tower. I've never seen it drawn like this. It's pretty wild. And then look, Mesopotamia, just all the different castles drawn on this map. It's pretty wild. Armenia, just all of them. It's so cool. 1519, look how decked out all these places are. Really, really interesting. You can see the whole map. It's quite big and shows ships. And then also here's Spain. You can see some castles in Spain as well, but throughout all of Europe and the Middle East, it's showing them everywhere. It's pretty wild. But what I really thought was interesting is when we went over here, you see all the different castles here, and different places. But the most interesting, yeah, that one's pretty wild looking too, isn't it? But for me, the most interesting was, out of all of these, all the way down here, you can see it in Arabia, was when they showed the tower here. And across here you got paradise, and they don't see much more, and then you have this up here as well. It's really interesting. Comment, let me know what you think about this map. This is just super cool and just old school. Just doing some deep diving on it now and trying to just check it all out. It's pretty wild. And then you can even see down here, when you go down here, you can see everything decked out down here too. Libya's all decked out. Africa up here. Got a guy on the horse here. Anyways, just wanted to share this with you. Thought it was really neat. And if you'd like a copy, let me know. Hit me up in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this. And as always, stay curious. Until next time.
Old maps. I love old maps. Do you like old maps? I mean, I really like them just because they show the world as it was. And to me, maps are one of the biggest proofs that history is a lie. It's his story. It's a complete fabrication. It's not true at all. This whole, story of evolution, right, which they need for many reasons, but one of them is so that they can put in this progressive timeline, right? And we're now at the epitome. We're the best that, humanity has ever been, right? The most advanced and technical and all this other stuff, even though everyone's life has gone to shit and not hardly anyone can afford to live and we're suppressed and we live as debt slaves and all this. But yes, but it's the greatest. And that's also why they tell us that it's the greatest time ever, so that, people notice less that they're a complete slave. But all the old maps, especially pre 1600, covered covered in castle-like cities. They're everywhere. And we see the remains of these cities, castle cities, everywhere, all across the realm. They are everywhere. All right. A lot of them are, destroyed or half destroyed. A lot of them are in pristine condition. It's crazy, but the old world, the recent advanced civilization, was, doing pretty well. And, I believe in cyclical resets. So was the last reset, the last era, the last epoch, was that the one that built all this stuff? I doubt it. And apart from the fact that we see different levels of things, we have like the star forts and pyramids and megaliths. Then we have, the smaller buildings, but still built from big blocks of stone. Then we have the red brick buildings, and then we have the wooden, right, the wooden constructions, and now we have like brutalistic art, architecture, metal and steel and boxes of crap. So when you look at it that way, we're clearly de-evolving, not evolving, right? They've flipped it on its head. It seems that after each reset, the tech seems to get worse, right? Or at least the construction techniques. We see the things like in Pumapunku and Cusco, right, in Peru, with the blocks where you can't fit a hair between them, right? They all seem molded together. And I think that's because it's geopolymer and they've been poured. But let me know your thoughts on that. But yeah, all the maps, they show us a completely different world. And they show us a world that has to have been connected, that wasn't warring, right? That was, basically one system, one world that was sharing its tech, because we see the same architecture everywhere, right? The same star fort designs, the same cathedrals, the same everything, right? It's realm wide was all this information. It was shared freely. And we don't see signs of war, right? We don't see these buildings, smashed to pieces. Right? That's all an insert. That's all a lie. All this stuff about humans are such warring little angry beasties and you can't trust them. They just destroy everything. That is not us. That is them. That is the Lites, the biggest gaslighters you've ever met. Whatever they do, they turn around and say, "No, it wasn't us. It was you." Right? And some people believe them. It's crazy, man. It's like that guy said in the first video, the best way to change the world is to change your thinking. Think of good things. Be grateful for what you've got. Smile at people. Love your neighbor. Understand that, it's not the people around you that are your enemy. Sure, a lot of them are going through bad times because, a lot of people are traumatized, right? A lot of people have some really hard times in life. And that's all part of the plan, right? But they're not your enemy, right? They're victims of the same people that you are a victim of, right? Some people just get it a lot worse. Some just become debt slaves. Others, well, we all know what came out in the Jeffrey files, don't we? Right? So there's a lot of bad stuff going on. But love thy neighbor, right? Treat everyone as you want to be treated. Do no harm, cause no damage. All this, that's all we really need. That's all the law. We don't need their maritime crap. But anyway, I'm definitely rambling at this stage. Old maps. Do you like them? Do you not? Let me know in the comments.
If you saw my last video, you know that I'm under the impression that Atlantis probably went down within recorded history 2, 3, 4,000 years ago. And yes, I do believe there was a huge cataclysm that submerged a lot of lands that weren't submerged. And maybe it wasn't just Atlantis that was affected by this cataclysm or multiple cataclysms. Maybe it was all the lost continents that we discuss all the time. Whatever you believe, whatever you call it, whatever happened to these people, it doesn't really matter. What I want to show you today is the remains that this civilization was worldwide. I showed you in another video about South Africa and their canals, this structure. And a commenter said, well, that was during the colonial era, so they built it, which is exactly why this is in Egypt. The colonial period is why. Another one in Egypt, because of the colonial period. I don't know why the doors are like, they didn't, Google didn't say anything about the doors, why they're 20 foot tall. Supposedly this 3-year build in Algeria looks this way because French colonizers wanted to imitate the North African architecture. But I guess they wanted it to look like back at home too. Guess where this is? Guess where it is? Pakistan. Because the British colonial era in India. Remember that in our history books? Also Pakistan. Clearly Pakistan. India's a whole nother level. I told you India was a whole nother, I mean, the British, that's why. Town Hall of Bombay. Madagascar? This was in Madagascar? Madagascar, come on. And of course, Sri Lanka's old parliament building. As you knew. I'm sure you knew it already. And you got to understand, guys, these colonial periods that they were supposedly capable of doing this work were short. In China, it was from 1880 to 1930, 50 years, and there was a lot of buildings going up. Hong Kong's Roman Catholic Church. Are they beefing, or the church in the steeple? Are they beefing? Hong Kong, again. The governor's summer residence. He's the one doing the lies, probably. That's why he has that. This hotel, in European style, obviously, was actually built by the Japanese, supposedly. Why does it have to be other people, like, out of country? Like, that one doesn't make sense. Shanghai, China, massive. Look how huge this is. There's a dome way in the back there. I wonder what that is. A street scene in Vietnam right here. These wagons next to these structures just never gets old. Look at the bottom photo. Look at the bottom photo. Where do you think that is? It's in Singapore. That looks like Germany or something. Oh, here we go. Spanish colonial churches. They're everywhere. Out of all the ones that they built in Manila, there's only one standing because of World War II. Makes you think, doesn't it? A bank in South Korea, right here. This was in the Philippines, I'm guessing. Hey, we can't forget about Japan, right? And isn't it funny that these electric trams were popping up the same time these were? The same time. Did you picture Japan having Western neoclassical and Boa Arts architecture? Me neither. Japanese bank. Gotta have the columns. Gotta have the columns. What do you think a theater would look like off the Amazon right here? What do you think it would look like in the 1880s? Do you think that? 1880s off the Amazon River? Do you think it looked like that? What about the inside? Did you think the inside was going to look like that? E.E. Myers, dog, Texas State Capitol architect down in Brazil, building magic. Argentina. Yeah. Still in Argentina. It's in Argentina? Why? This stuff is all the way down even in New Zealand. I've shown you Australia. It's in New Zealand too. Dog. What? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So Atlantis, Tartarian. Who cares? Somebody was here and they were throwing up stones like gang signs, dog. Clearly.
Well, Tartaria, one of my favorite subjects. And of course, a lot of people get triggered when you call it Tartaria, especially if you're talking about, other countries that aren't in Asia, Russia. But Tartaria is just the word, right, that has come to the forefront of, that's just the name for the research. My channel's 7 years old, like a couple of weeks ago, my main channel, and it started with Tartaria. So I've got 7 years of research on there. So no one's going to, convince me that there was not a previous recent advanced civilization because the evidence is absolutely everywhere. It's ridiculous. But yeah, we call it Tartaria because at the start it was basically we learnt about Tartaria, right? The country that we were never taught about. We learnt about the mud flood and the star forts. That was the three main things, and also I guess the architecture that was the same, right, all across the realm. And Tartaria just stuck. I call it old world most of the time now. But like you said, it doesn't matter. Like if you're going to get caught up on semantics, well, what are you doing? You're just trying to prove, you're just trying to use a lack of intelligence to prove something that doesn't even matter. So don't do that. Is there anyone here? I doubt there is, but is there anyone here who doesn't believe in the old world, a previous recent advanced civilization, who doesn't believe in the mud flood? I was doing an interview a couple of months ago and showing pictures of buildings that have been excavated and they had below ground level, they had windows with glass in them and doors. And this guy was still like, no, it never happened. It never happened. They must be AI. I mean, so some people will never ever see this. And, that's the question is why are they NPCs? I don't like that term. Are they clones? Are they the Cabbage Patch Kids from the Reset, the orphan trains? Because there seems to be something different, right? They don't seem to have the cognitive ability to change their program, right? Interesting, but yeah, like it's just as plain as day to me, especially when you look at countries like Australia, New Zealand, right? Because we've got such a short history, and they're telling us that we were building these, massive buildings literally within 30 or 40 years of landing in this barren continent with nothing. And we didn't know where any of the resources were. We had no manufacturing, we had no transportation, no warehousing, no skilled laborers. But a better country is actually Japan. It was closed until the 1840s, right? And it again, it's covered in the same architecture. Is that why they had to bomb, right? Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and Tokyo. They firebombed Tokyo, pretty much destroyed it, but they destroyed those three cities. But there's still, go check out the railway stations and things like this. There's stuff all over Japan. Um, but it's crazy. But yeah, one of my favorite topics. So if you are interested, go check out my main channel, Autodidactic, and there's like thousands of videos on all of this stuff. But I would like to know, is there anyone out there who thinks that this research is wrong and it's a psyop or something and the mud flood never happened? Because I still hear it. And that convicts built all these buildings, or it's just the colonial era, whatever that means, right? You just say colonial era, but you can't prove, how they could do it without power tools and without, any skills or any transportation or knowing where the resources were or how to manufacture them into other things. It's one thing to find iron, but to turn it into a usable product is a completely different thing, right? You need to mine it. You need all the smelting, the to turn it into iron, right? Because you're getting out the iron ore. You need all the transportation. You need the skilled workers. You need warehousing. I mean, it's a lot, right? A lot. But yeah, please let me know. Is there anyone out there who does not believe that narrative? I'll call it a narrative, right? You still believe the mainstream, and please let me know why. Don't just say no. That's not going to cut it. If you think this is all crap, let me know why. Give me your proofs of why this is crap and the mainstream is correct, because I would love to read that.
Wake up. This world is not what you think it is. I've been around for 71 years. In the last 53 years, I have spent my life in the world of the occult. The word occult is a Latin word meaning hidden. Everything that's of any importance has been hidden. The guys at the top know stuff you don't know. I made it my business to find out. And the one thing that has absolutely astounded me is how much we don't know about the world we live in. So I would say to young people watching, you better wake up and get a life and start figuring out who owns you. What is all this crap about people owning your body on this New York Stock Exchange?
So you recommend self-education for the solution?
Self-education.
I completely agree. I think the state education is run by the mafia, and we have private schools, which are businesses, so self-education.
Right.
Yes, self-education. Right? Be autodidactic. It means to be self-educated. That was, of course, Jordan Maxwell. And, this is how I started listening to people like Jordan, like decades ago, right? I've been in this game for a very long time as far as just researching everything I could, because I just knew that there was something wrong. I knew that the world was not what they were telling me from a very young age. But because just look around, right? I mean, war. Hello? If that's not a big clue, I don't know what is. But that's why I always talk about self-education and not judging things and getting more information and building a perspective. In my opinion, it's the only way to go. It's the only way to keep improving. And I did have read a couple of comments recently, and people were like, I'm always the smartest person in the room. I was always the smartest person. I never want to be the smartest person in a room. Right? And there's quite a few reasons why. One is if you're the smartest person, you can't learn anything. Two is you cannot be the smartest person in the room. It's impossible. You might be the smartest person, as far as you might have most information on cricket, but someone is going to have more information than you on law or history or whatever, geography, whatever, right? You can't be the smartest person in the room. And it's also ego, right? Because clearly you can't. And if you think you're the smartest person in the room, guess what? Again, you can't learn anything because you're so smart and everyone else has got the answers wrong and you've got them all correct. So don't ever, ever try and be or act like the smartest person in the room. That will just stunt you and you will no longer be able to grow and learn. And that's not a good place to be, right? Arrogant, right? That would make you arrogant. And there's a phrase from the Bible that I always remember, and it says, you will know them. It's talking about, that the evil ones, the Allites, you will know them because they are arrogant. So I've never wanted to be arrogant. But it's all about self-education. The world is not what they told you. It's like I was talking about Tartaria. History is not what they told you. It's his story. It's made up, probably written by AI, truly, because we know about resets and cataclysms that happen, and the chances of, any books really getting through that. I mean, sure, a few might survive and get through that, but slim chances, right, that they would actually come through to our period of time, unscathed and in a full volume of a book. I think it's all been rewritten, and all you have to do is go and just look at different buildings when they were built. I just find an old world building in your town and look into when it was built, how long it took to get built, who built it, and then find a second one, and you'll start to see that the stories are always the same. They're all the same. Very AI, right? No imagination. But yeah, are you an autodidactic? Are you self-educated? Or are you system educated? Or should I say system indoctrinated? Because that's all the system can ever do for you.
You've been tricked. Okay, that's how the world works. They're the ones who have the capacity to create reality. Okay, you understand this? Now the powers behind them, these people have the power to create reality. So what I need to do is trick them into creating the reality that I want them to create. Does that make sense? Okay? So these are the powers that be, and they hide in the shadows. And they give you tricks. They use deception, manipulation, in order to trick you into thinking that you're a slave. And they're tricking you into wanting to create a reality that they want you to create, but which you think you want to create. Okay? And that's how the world works. We are the ones with the power of God. We're the ones with imagination. The ones behind us don't have an imagination. They have power, but they don't have imagination. Okay? So they need to trick us into wanting to create the world they want us to create. And this is how the world works, guys. Right? Why are you in school being a slave? We say, I'm not being a slave. I'm being free. I'm in school so I can get into a good college, make a lot of money, and live a happy life. Okay? You've been tricked. But the truth is, no. You don't need money to be happy. You don't need anything to be happy. You have yourself. Okay? You have your imagination. You have the capacity to love anyone. If you just love your mother, if you just love your father, if you love everyone around you, you'll be happy. You don't need money. Like, no. I need $1 billion to buy my brother a Porsche. I need to buy my mother a yacht. That's what my mother really wants. You've been tricked. Okay? That's how the world works. So, it's really easy. Just say to yourself, I'm a slave. And I refuse to be a slave. I refuse to listen to what everyone tells me. And that's the hardest thing to do in the world because, like, it would mean your rejection from reality, right? It would mean, oh, I have no more friends. My parents hate me. I'm a loser. Everyone makes fun of me at school. All right? So that's the reality we live in. We fear social isolation. We fear being laughed at. So we just go with the flow, even though in our hearts, we know this is all a lie. This school, what the teachers teach us, it's all nonsense. ChatGPT, it's lying to us all the time. Seeking money, it's going to make me unhappy. Why am I seeking money? Not for yourself, because you fear social condemnation. You fear being laughed at. That's why you want money. That's what you want to do while in school. Once you accept that, you are free. Can you do that? No. You can't do that. Because all your life, you've been brainwashed, and you're thinking like the thing you see is what's real. Okay? Through movies, through school, through parenting, through friends, through reality. Okay? So that's what this algorithm teaches us. So guess what, guys? You'll probably fail. But if you're able to succeed, you'll be truly free and happy and imaginative, and that will allow you to ascend into immortality.
Yes, well, it's yes, true, right? These elites that are currently in control, or at least want us to think they can't create. They're not creative. They are exactly like AI, right? It cannot create either. It can only take information that we have given it and creations that we have made and mess with them, right? Exactly the same as the elites. So because they can't create anything, what do? They make us think and believe things that they want to come true so that we then create the world that they want. And again, this is why the education system, the news, the media, the entertainment industry, music, and so much more, social conditioning, right? It's all to get us to believe a reality that they want to bring into matter, right? Into the physical world that they want. And of course, when we're doing that, we're not creating our own world. So the way out of this is clearly to regain control of your mind, get it away from those who wish to control it for you, right? The government, right? The controllers of the mental, the mind controllers, and get it back to yourself and start creating what you want to create, right? And, I agree with a lot of the things he said. He does have some good videos, and I think his name's Professor Yang. I think that's his handle. But, I've watched quite a few of his videos, and I wonder, is he in front of a class? Because I don't think he is. He stands there, he's got a blackboard, he doesn't look at the camera, he talks like he's talking to a class, but you never hear any noise or reaction from the class, right? And I just don't think he's in front of a class. What do you think? I'm not saying that that makes him bad or a shill or anything like that. Who knows? And it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter, right? And people, always, well, very often a lot of people get very concerned, this person's a shill and they're a liar, and why would you listen to anything they say? Well, why? Because I've got my own brain, my own mind, and I can discern things. If someone is lying, I will work it out. So what does it matter if someone is a shill? And no one is going to tell you 100% of the truth because no one knows it. No one knows it. All right? I think that everything that we hear, it's the 80-20 rule. If someone's lying to you, they're going to put in 20% of truth, right, to make it feasible. If someone is telling you the truth, there'll probably be 20% of lies because they don't have the whole truth, the whole story. But it doesn't matter. As long as you have control of your mind and you're self-educated and you're not sitting there judging people, then who cares? You just take on board what's good and what is true for you at that time, and you leave the rest. Pretty simple. But there's so many people who go out shield hunting this person. Oh, we've got to go and defame them, and how dare they, and rah, rah, rah. So, you know, that's just my opinion, by the way. And, let me know if you do know that this guy is a real professor. Please let me know. Is there a class in front of him? And if there's not, it doesn't mean that he's a bad person or he's out to deceive. It just probably means that he's clever and he's worked out that people, because of all the conditioning, they listen more to teachers and professors, right? Educators. They will tend to believe them more. So it's clever. That's what I think. But let me know your opinions. What do you think? And what do you think about the creation? Do you think that they can create anything, or are they just using us? And yeah, do you think he's a real professor? And do you know? If you've got any proof, leave me some links because I'd love to find out. But again, I think he's good. He's got lots of good things to say.
What if your clock is wrong? What if we've been going off the wrong time? Would that leave a way for people to, I don't know, time travel? Let's look at this for 2 seconds. We're used to a clock looking like this. 3, you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, everybody can agree that's what a clock would look like. But again, in Vortex math, we have no double digits, right? There's no double digits. So in a clock, in theory, if we're using Vortex math, this whole chunk of time does not even exist. We are using it, but it doesn't play out. We are actually like in dog years because 1 plus 0 is actually this. It's just 1. 11, you add 1 and 1 together, that's just actually 2. 12, that's just actually 3. So our clock should look different. Let's rearrange things just a little bit. Let's take this out. Let's put the 9 up at top. So we have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's what the clock should look like. A little triangle. Now let's do something really cool with this. Let me see if I can switch markers. Let's see if we can apply this 369 pattern. Remember, 1 plus 1 is 2. Then we have 4, 8, 7, 5, 1. So let's just map that out on a clock. If 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 8 is 16, but again, in Vortex math, we are adding the 6 plus 1, so that's 7. 7 plus 7 is 14, but in Vortex math, we're adding the 4 plus 1, so that equals 5. 5 plus 5 is 10, but you add those together, and that's your 1. So look at what we have. This little pattern that goes on forever. Kind of looks like what? Kind of looks like a Volkswagen symbol, does it not? Almost like those German Nazi people back in the day. They knew what they were doing because guess where Nikola Tesla came from? He came from Germany. He was one of the top scientists for Hitler before we stole him and brought him over here and said, hey, guess what? Make some electricity for us. So this concept, this theory was something that they used back in the day. It was kept as a secret for all of us from all time. Why was it kept a secret? Well, because if time is wrong and we are all a slave to the system, then it keeps us in check, does it not? It makes us do stuff according to what we think. We think that seasons are this long. We think that a year is, so many days. But if it's wrong and we have been brainwashed and we just go with it and our mind tricks us to think that, then we're all sleeping, right?
Okay. Nikola Tesla is not from Germany. Nikola Tesla is Serbian. He's from Serbia. So he got that very wrong. And I think he got confused with Werner von Braun, as Project Paperclip, as far as the German scientists being taken to America. I think he got all that a bit confused. But yes, Nikola Tesla, definitely Serbia. Werner von Braun, Germany, rockets, yes. I was a little disappointed. I thought he was going to go further with that. I was getting right into it, and he didn't really have a conclusion. But Vortex Maths, we've covered it a little bit on this channel. Marco Rodin, if you want to look into it, it's very interesting stuff. It's a whole different way to see numbers, and I really like it. Because when we go to school, we only get taught basically accounting maths, right? Consumer maths, enough maths so that you can buy things and pay your taxes, basically, right? But what he said was true. 11 or 10, 11, and 12 don't really exist. They just 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? No, that's not right. 10 is 1, 1, 2, and 3, because there's only 9 numbers. And Vortex Max, they put them into 3 different number groups. You, of course, have the 369, which Tesla does talk about. So there is a Tesla connection there, right? If you only knew the power of the 369. And then there's other 2 number groups as well, which are, if I can remember, what is it? 2, 5, and 7, I think. And 4, what would it be? It's only again 8, whatever the one I missed out is. But there's 2 different number groups. I can't visualize it at the moment. But it's a different way of looking at maths. It's basically circular, right? It's a circular maths, and it always brings numbers back to the single digit, like he said. And there's a lot to it. There's actually a 9-hour presentation that Marco Rodin does, and I do highly recommend it. It's really, really good. It will definitely get you to see numbers a completely different way, right? And you'll really start to see how much they have messed with our mind and with our conception of what reality is. Like, because this linear math system is, like I said, it's just for taxes and consuming, right? It's just to keep them in control and to keep us unaware. But it's a good watch. You can do it. First time I watched it, I did it in a day because I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I was like transfixed. Another good one, if you want to get into that kind of thinking and thought form, is Nassim Haramein. Haramein, Haramein, mine. He gets into yeah, more physics and things like that, but very, very good stuff just to show you that the world is not what you think it is. And they've taught us to think in a certain way, and it entraps our mind, right? And it really plays into their system of control. So again, right, as we've heard in quite a few videos in this little romp through the strange world, take control of your mind, learn how to think, become self-educated, autodidactic, to not believe the narrative, to not believe the hype, question everything, right? And these are also phrases that we hear a lot through the truther community. Again, I don't like labels, but I've got to call it something, I guess. People always, oh my God, question everything. Oh, don't believe anything the government says. Turn off the TV. And then they quote from TV shows and movies, and they repeat and make videos about what the government have said, and then they get triggered when you say something, and they try and shut you down, even though they believe in free speech. And, so don't fall into that trap. Don't be one of those people. Live for yourself. Make your own decisions. Come to your own conclusions. Right? I'll say it a lot. Everything to me is just interesting. Right? As soon as you judge something as right or wrong, you can no longer learn anything on that subject, right? Because that's again why you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, right? All you're really telling people is you're the most arrogant person in the room, right? So, yes, rely on yourself, cultivate your mind, and stand every day guarding the door to your mind so that you don't let all the fluff in, right? You choose what you let in, choose what you're going to focus on, because it is very important in molding who you are. And when you mold who you are properly, then the world is also molded because we are creating this world as we walk through it, right? So all this fear, fear mongering and stuff, it's not true. Do not buy into it. That's why I don't buy into it at all. So I never get worried. I never get depressed because it's my world that I'm creating, right? It's not a physical place. It's energy, and we get to control it unless we let someone else control our mind. But there you go. Rant over. Um, yeah, hope you enjoyed that one, guys. Thank you for spending some time with me. Please leave me your thoughts on what you think of these different videos. And of course, give me a like, hype up the video if you have the means, share it around. And of course, if you're not subscribed, what the bloody hell are you doing? Hit the subscribe button. And of course, you'll find links below for my podcast, Tartaria Australia. My main channel is Autodidactic. Go check that out. And there's also a link down there for my newspaper. That's right. I've launched a newspaper. Well, it's been launched with Kelly, my podcast partner for Tartaria Australia. And it's awesome. And you should get it. Link is down below. It's all completely uncensored. It is physical. It doesn't exist in a electric form. You cannot find it online because we are trying to get people out of the 2D world, out of this simulation that they're trying to suck us all into, right? The 2D world has been really good to connect us and to get information out there, and I think is still good on some levels. Doing it 24 hours a day, doom scrolling, relying on it, getting up and picking your phone up before you even get out of bed, I think that is really harmful. And I think that will suck you into the simulation and the 15-minute cities and everything else that they would like you to create for them. All right. So it's a physical magazine. It also means it can't be altered, right? It can't be censored. And we put in everything and it's all user filled, right? Everyone who subscribes to the paper, they actually create the paper. They send us in their stories, their research, their photos, their art, their poems, everything. So it's a newspaper like no other, believe me. And it's awesome. And we're up to our third issue now. It's getting posted out this week. And so, yeah, the link is below, and you definitely should go and subscribe. Get some real time off the net. that is still going to educate you, is going to enhance your imagination, right, and your knowledge, right? Because this is what we need to go forward, in my opinion. You know, everyone's talking about the new world and that we need to change, we need to get off, but I don't see a lot of people doing anything to actually create that. So that's what the newspaper's all about, is we're doing it, right? So support what you want, what you claim you want, or else it will disappear. And I'm also going on a tour to Greece and Crete. So I'll leave the link for that below as well. Go check that out. Come along, 2 weeks. It's going to be awesome. We're going to go check out some of the old historical sites, right? And we are doing it off the beaten path. We are not going with a tour company that's going to tell us the story of, you know, that the mainstream wants us to believe. We're going to go check it out for ourselves, come to our own conclusions, as we always should. So again, thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay awesome, because you are, and I'll talk to you all in the next upload. Bye for now.
You're adopted. Yeah, you're not mine. You're adopted. Yeah.
Marvin, you're adopted. You're adopted.
You're adopted.
You're adopted. It's true. I adopted you.
You are adopted.
You're adopted. It's true. I adopted you.
You're adopted. It's gonna be okay.
You're adopted. It's true. I adopted you. I'm sorry that the truth has to be revealed this way.
You're adopted. You're adopted.
You're adopted.
Did you know you were adopted?
You're adopted.
Hey, buddy. You're adopted? You are adopted.
Hanky, you're adopted.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're, well, adopted.